Well, hello everybody, it's Chris Johnstone here, and this webinar is all about how to automatically generate more referrals and online reviews in your mortgage business. Now, this introduction is not part of the live webinar. We had a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning with the recording, so we're going to cut into the content about 5 minutes into the event. And with us, we have Scott and Craig from Social Survey, and they are going to give you some very specific strategies that you can use to go out to get more referrals and more online reviews. This is fantastic content. And then very quickly at the end, they're going to tell you a little bit about Social Survey and how it can automate the process of everything that they're going to teach you in this event. This is fantastic content that shows you how to generate more referrals from Facebook and how to leverage your online reviews into more deals in your specific marketplace. So without further ado, I introduce to you Scott and Craig from Social Survey, and I really hope that you enjoy the event as much as we enjoyed producing it for you. If you have any questions, you can send them to support@cwjstone.com. That's support@cwjstone.com. Have a great day, everybody.
Start with the house that Yelp built. Chris, Craig, can you guys see my screen? I want to make sure I'm not just talking to myself here.
See your screen?
Yeah,
we're starting with
your screen.
Perfect.
All right. Perfect. Okay. So let's start with the first assumption. If you're not managing your online reputation, you're on you. And some of you might say, well, I don't have any reviews online. How's that managing me? Well, no reviews, in my opinion, is also not good. And what we found is that, and we deal with a lot of larger organizations, such as automating enterprise reputation management for big companies, right? But it also works for individuals today. And if you don't have a Yelp profile, you probably should have a Yelp profile, but what you may find is that that's not easy to get reviews through on Yelp. So what I have here is a customer up on the screen that is literally focused on solving what they call a Yelp problem. And what we know is that upset people are louder than happy people online. And this is a good reflection of it. And then Yelp, with their genius algorithm, mute good reviews. I don't know how they've done it, but somehow this particular company, that they've only let 6 reviews through, and those are at 3 stars. Right now, I want you to know that is absolutely not a reflection of the real voice of their customers. We've sent dozens of new reviewers to Yelp. If you look on the right side of that slide, they have 78, and if you average the other reviews that they have muted, or they call them not recommended, they have almost a 4.9 average. This is a great company that is fallen victim to the Yelp algorithm. So this is what I can say about that. Yelp can be important for your business, but 75% of all Yelp traffic comes from Google search. Yes, Yelp is a powerful search engine, and you should play with Yelp because it's important to have a great linking strategy. You should have something about yourself on the Better Business Bureau, on your local chamber. You should be listing yourself as a small business there. You should be listing. You should have a Google Reviews page, and you should have a Yelp page, and you should have a personal website where people can search for properties. We know this, right? And the thing about it, numbers and all the links should all be going to the same place, right? Because Google is actually looking for continuity so that they can trust the story of who you are online, right? They're actually looking at all those places, all those trusted sites. So even with no reviews, it has value. Now, the second thing we know is that Yelp promotes Yelpers. Right? They won't publish how many actual Yelpers, subscribers there are, to their premium model. They'll tell you how many people search, but they won't tell you how many subscribers they have. But somehow, and only half of those are homeowners, right, which is our customers. So half our customers are out anyway. But somehow we have first to Yelp, right? That's a little bit tougher. And so we like to not focus just on Yelp, right? We like to focus on Yelp as a secondary workflow. All right, anyway, Yelp's how we got started in the business. And let me tell you what we've learned about enterprise reputation management from that conversation, right? One, we learned that user-generated content is solid gold, right? The voice of your happiest customers online are very powerful. I would say it's akin to putting your happy customers on the roof and having them screaming out your name. Next, we want to have a complaint resolution process, right? We want to make sure that you give your unhappy customers a voice. It's better to escalate their voice even above you to managers, right? But you want to make sure they have a voice, because what we know is if they don't feel heard one way or another, they'll find a way online to tell their story, right? What we know, remember that unhappy people are louder than happy people. So we absolutely want to make sure that we have a way that customers can tell us their story without having to go online and tell it. Next, we want to make sure that we're monitoring what's going on. We're listening. There's several really cool services where we can monitor what is being said about us online, right? Or about our brands. This is, in an individual basis, this is going to give you some great insights on what you should market, right? If you know what people are saying about your office, if you're listening for people in your market to be saying certain keywords, you can literally know who, where, and why to put that user-generated content in front of the right people, right? We want to make sure. Let's just talk about real quickly all the outcomes that user-generated content should have. It should help you recruit. It should help you retain customers. It should help you grow your customer base. It should give you social proof online. It should give you SEO benefits. And so, just think about it like that.
Yeah,
Jill
Scott,
says you're a rock.
Don't forget, yes, when you're trying to build relationships with real estate agents, this is social proof, and it's not you saying how good you are, but the customers, and that's way more powerful.
Yeah, no, and here's the way we look at this picture in front of you is the way we look at managing your online reputation with user-generated content, with reviews. When you close a transaction, we think you should immediately send your customers an email and say, thank you so much for your business. Your business and your opinion are very important to me. Would you mind clicking the link below and taking a very brief survey? Okay, so and you should use that exact email. That one works. In fact, 65% of your people on the high side, 55% of your people on the low side will click on that link. Okay, and then you keep the survey simple. What do you want to know? What could help your business? Are you using the software? You want to see if they're interacting with it? Or you just want to see how you communicate? Are you wanting to know if they have any referrals for you? Surveys can be marketing tools, right? They also will tell you who your advocates are, right? Your real advocates, right? Hey, how would you rate the level of service and support I gave you? How would you rate professionalism and communication? Right? How'd you hear about me? Maybe you should already know that one. Right? And would you refer friends and family? That's an easy one. It's funny that we don't ask for those referrals as much as we should. Here's a question where you could say, would you refer friends and family? If they say yes, say, do you have any now? You can do all that in a survey. But remember, ask as few questions as possible, right? Because all you're after is their comments so that you can share them, right? And then you want to programmatically separate happy from unhappy customers. You want to be able to say, if they're happy, do this. This is where social survey comes in. I'll just tell you that what you're seeing online is the way we do it programmatically. But you want to find a way to separate your happy from unhappy and then take your happy people through one path and your unhappy people through another path. Right? Happy people, we're so glad you had a great experience. Would you tell us what made it great? Right? Tell me what I did that was awesome. Now they give you that solid gold content. Right? Let's actually switch over and see some of that solid gold content real quick from one of our users. I got a real estate user that I've got pulled up here. Let's see. Lots of knowledge, very personal, extremely trustworthy, made our experience nothing but pleasant. Dee Dee was amazing. Buying our first home came with all the confidence due to her thorough hard work. Dee Dee was always available when we needed her. She gave us great advice. This is solid gold, right? Now this is Stephanie writing a review for Dee Dee, right? And then Dee Dee, through our system, but you can do it any way you like, shares that on her Facebook page, on her LinkedIn page, right? She actually shares it on her Google page. If on her Google Plus page, she connects to Zillow happy customers to write reviews on Zillow. She then shares it on her personal website, right? Getting the voice of the customer everywhere possible. She then automatically asks for referrals, right? Dee Dee, if she doesn't close transactions, she'll literally log in and send past customers review requests. She knows that if she keeps dripping, and guess what? Her Facebook page says Dee Dee is a rock star. She'll then go to her Facebook page and she'll boost certain reviews from her customers, getting thousands of views on those reviews. Craig, you got an example of a boost? Tell us. You told me a story the other day I thought was pretty cool. Tell me about a boosted review.
Yeah, so I can't really show it to you, but we have, just as an experiment, paid a few bucks to boost a review. This is a small lender in Missouri, and their typical reviews on their Facebook page will get anywhere between 10 and 20 views. I have access to their dashboard, so I can see the visibility on that. And when they boosted this one review, it was like 400 views from a boost. And I called the marketing manager, and I think she said they spent 20 bucks to do that. And it was just an experiment. I don't know if they're going to do more of it, but you can just see for a couple of dollars how much more visibility you can get to one of your great reviews.
Yeah, and so this is an example of the way a review looks from social survey, and you could use this as an example when you're posting. Literally, super professional, knowledgeable, easy to work with, by far the best home loan experience I've had by Randall W. So this is a customer going on your Facebook page saying you're a rock star. So we have another example, Craig, and I know you posted that online. Now we're just talking about Facebook. So let's just keep this very simple. Survey your customers, get their comments. If they're happy, post the comment on Facebook. Okay?
Well, wait, let's put one step in between. One step. Get their permission to do it.
That's right.
You might run across 1 in 50 customers who, after they give you their feedback, if you don't ask permission, they might get upset about it, and you don't need that headache. So just make sure you ask permission. Maybe within your ask, when you're asking for the feedback, ask and say, hey, may we use this in our marketing and social media?
So right. So let's just tell that story real quickly. I know we're talking about, and I'm trying to just simplify it to Facebook for a second. I know we're talking about you should survey your customers, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Google, put it on your website, but just Facebook. Craig, you're good at this. Why don't you tell the Matthew Van Fossen story real quick?
Okay, so Matthew he's actually the chief operating officer for one of our clients, but he's one of those unusual COOs who also keeps his license active and originates a few loans. And so he doesn't do a lot, maybe 2-3 loans a month. He got a review one day, and I think within about 4 hours of getting that review, an old friend of his brother messages him on Facebook. So as he is explaining,
so not in his direct sphere.
That's right. That's
Is
exactly what he was saying.
He barely even connects with this guy.
That's right. He says, I don't think I've seen the guy in 15 years. I just know that he's a friend of my brother's from high school, and we're connected on Facebook. And he says, look, I know a couple of things about him because of Facebook. I know he's married, he's got 2 kids, etc. So he gets this message on Facebook that says, hey, Matthew, just saw your post, and I'm looking to buy my second investment property, and I need help with the financing. So Matthew, of course, he immediately thinks, oh man, I missed out on his primary residence and his first investment property, but hey, I've got a chance to get this one. So he messages him back and says, let's get together for coffee and we'll talk about it. Lo and behold, they meet for coffee a few days later. The guy, not only is he going to do the financing or did do the financing for that second investment property, but this guy's got a strategy that towards the end of the year he's going to buy a third property. So one review posted to Facebook generated him 2 deals that would have gone to somebody else had he not had social survey.
So, and the great story. I want you to know we hear that story every single day across our thousands of users. It is probably our second best workflow. Another story I heard a couple of weeks ago was that they had that one of our companies had taught their realtors to use their reviews and boost their loan officers to use their reviews and boost their realtors. So literally the loan officers were going in or are going in and saying, hey, thanks Jill Stevens for the great review. Boom, they've just added it to Jill Stevens, the customers, and she can share it on her wall.
Why don't you show them right there on AFN? Because if you imagined that this was your Facebook feed and we auto-posted a review, or in the case of these people on the call today, if they manually posted the review and then they came back the next day and they said thanks. Now, if you tag somebody that's in your sphere, so start typing the name of somebody that you're friends with on Facebook.
Oh,
Scott.
it's my friends. Okay, so let's say thanks, and well, it's not my post, so it's not going to let me do it. But
no, I think it should. You can mention anybody in a post, in a comment.
Oh yeah, you're right. So
I just got to give it a second.
So
right. So you
now
tag that person.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So you
now
tag that person.
Go ahead.
All right. So as we're trying to both say, you tag that person. Thank you. And you name the realtor. If you're already connected on Facebook to the customer, make sure you thank them for the post, because they may have done this review for you, right? But they didn't necessarily realize that you put it onto Facebook. So by tagging them and in a meaningful way, not just by hitting their name, but by tagging them and saying thank you for the great feedback, and thank you to Emma great real estate agent. I love your, I'm always thrilled to be your partner. They see it on their feed, and then they turn around and share it to their audience. So you've got 500 friends, and they've got 500 friends, and then one of their friends shares it, and that's 500. Before you know it, 2,000 or 3,000 people in your local market have seen one review that was written by your customer that you posted.
Yes, and I like what you said. Don't just tag them. I mean, it's so simple, right? Hey, thank you by name, and tag them, and then say, I really hope you guys are enjoying your new home over on Broadway. It's an exciting time for you guys. Hey, would you post a picture? Do something interactive, right? Now they have more motivation to share it on their wall. Same thing. Remember how this drives ego. Ego is so powerful. Do the same thing for the realtor, right? I couldn't have done it without the great support from Remax Rockstar Dee Olis, right? Now you just copied Dee Olis. Dee always gives 5-star service to her customers. Boom. Now Dee has motivation to share it on her wall. And this is just focusing on Facebook. So we beat Facebook to death, Craig. What do you think? Let's do some Google. Let's show them how powerful Google can be.
Well, and Chris could probably back us up on this. The Facebook stuff is important too because now Google is looking at what Facebook has.
That's right. So let's talk about absolute home mortgage. Now, I want you to think about this. If you're not doing this, even at an individual level, you should be. Okay? It's very easy to get a Google Places for Business page, right? And Google loves when local customers write reviews about local businesses. And remember, Google knows 90% of your customers. 90% of your customers have accounts with Google, right? This is my favorite secondary workflow, okay? Thank you so much for your kind words. If you have another minute, would you please leave your comments on Google so people can find me online? If you want to dominate keywords like real estate, realtor, real estate agent in your local market, focus on taking all of your happy customers, all of your advocates, and asking them to write a Google review. You are a small business, right? Because you're a mortgage professional, and even though you're working for somebody, you're building your own business. And so having a Google Places for Business page makes a lot of sense. And so let's just tell you this story real quick. Craig, you're a storyteller today, so I'm gonna let you tell this one as well.
Thanks. All right. So, Absolute Home Mortgage, they're a great company. We see all of their survey results, and they came to us and basically said, we don't have any reviews on Google. And when people in our town, they're in Woodland Park, New Jersey, are searching for mortgage on Google, we're buried on the 3rd page, which, as we know, means they really don't exist because people aren't going to look much past the 1st page, maybe the top half of the 2nd page for results.
Okay, let me back that up with stats real quick. Let me back that one up. That's a great comment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got stats. So Google sends 91% of their search traffic to people on that are listed on the 1st page. Right? Overwhelmingly, if you're looking for a business, they send the traffic to the top 3 positions on Google Maps search. So this particular example, Craig said, searching the word mortgage, just the word mortgage. So what I've emulated here is a Google search in Woodland Park, New Jersey. Now, I'm sitting in Alamo, California. So if I just search the word mortgage, Google knows where I'm sitting, and they're just going to find me a couple of mortgage companies using a map search in my town. So what we've emulated here is a search for the word mortgage. And Craig, what you said was when we started this with them 12 weeks ago, they were buried on page 3 and they weren't on the map, and there's like 15 other mortgage companies. So remember this, 1st page is how you win, 91% of traffic.
Now, the other thing is you're seeing right now today they've got 108 reviews with a 4.9 average. But at that time, they had 4 reviews, and their average was 3 or below. I think it was maybe 2 something. And again, the reason is because only unhappy customers have the internal motivation to write reviews. But what we know, and we've proven now with this customer, is if you ask them to review you on Google, many of them will.
More
and
stats.
So what we did with
1
our
in 5.
system, yeah. So what we did with our system is we built a workflow that after the survey was completed, if the customer was happy, we said, thank you for your feedback. Would you mind taking another moment and reviewing us on Google? We gave them that they could just click, and then it took them not to this page, but it actually took them to the write a review page so that they don't have to make any decisions, they don't have to find the button, they don't have to think about it, and they won't get distracted by other links. They can just write a review. And we found that 20% of the happy customers did exactly that. So that 13 weeks later, they're now up to 108 reviews. So they've literally added 100 plus reviews in 13 weeks. Their average has gone to a 4.9, and because of all of that, and the fact that they are getting a new review nearly every single day, Google now says, if you're searching the word mortgage in Woodland Park, New Jersey, this is probably what you're looking for. And so now you're seeing the results of the page. They dominate the first page on Google, which also, not only does it mean that they're getting the calls, but they're probably preventing any competitors from getting any calls either.
Yeah, so their phone's ringing. Now I know that this is an office. So if you're an office manager, this workflow, because this is the best way. Like as Craig said, in the first when we got started, they weren't on the first 3 pages. They weren't on the map integrated search. There's like 15 mortgage companies in Woodland Park, right? In order to see any of the other ones, you got to click this link now. Do 15 more, right? And they own an organic search. They own the 1, they own the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 8. They're getting most of that 91% of traffic.
You know, I want to just say something, Scott. We don't want for anyone to feel like we're selling our service here. We're giving you great information. All of this could be done by you. You can create your own survey. You can do it on paper. You can do it in an email. You can do it through SurveyMonkey, and you can send it to your customers. Just make sure that you take the time to ask the happy customers if they'll also review you on Google, and give them the exact link to the location. Don't make it hard for them. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yes. So there's a great training point. So guys, what you want to do is you want to give them this link, this link, so that it just pops up a review. That's the link. Thank you so much for your kind words. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's showing up with a review because Scott wrote a review of these folks. And so for him, it's an edit post. But for somebody else, open an incognito window and it would show you. Actually, that's a bad example because then he has to be logged into Google. But the point is that you want to provide them with that link directly to the writing a review portion so that they don't have to make any decisions, they don't have to think about it. That's how you get the most people. And remember, don't just send it out to every customer and say, write a review of me on Google, because now your unhappies, your happies, your in the middles are going to also do it, and the comments aren't going to be as good. Now, if you have the ability, give them whatever. Let's say they took a survey that you did on SurveyMonkey, right? Because you can get a pretty good SurveyMonkey account free of charge. You could take what they said about you on SurveyMonkey, copy it, and paste it in the email and say, hey, could you also review me on Google, and here's what you already said about me, right? Give them their words, so now all they have to do is copy and paste it into your Google review. That's my point, is you just want to make it as easy as possible for them to do it. Now that requires a bit of work.
Absolutely.
So let's go back. So let's go back to the beginning here. Okay, and guys, if you have questions, let's have some interaction. So what we've heard so far, let's bookmark it. You want to make sure that you are set up online on the trusted sites, right? You want to make sure that your address is consistent across all the trusted sites: the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber, the Yelp, Google Map integrated search page, the Places for Business, right? If you have a social survey account, you'll have a social survey page, right? And you want to make sure that all of those, the address and the phone number and the content and the actual title, like, is exactly the same on all those pages, right? Google's crawlers need to see continuity across all your pages. Make sure that all the links are going to your personal link page, right? On all those pages, you're linking to your website, and it's the same exact link, right? You got to think like Google thinks. That's step one. The setup is important. Then we talked about a couple of key workflows. The first key workflow, if you're going to focus on Yelp, you got to figure out who your Yelpers are. When you know who your happy people are, it's easy enough to say, have you ever written a review on Yelp? Right? You're going to find that less than half of them are, and that's going to be a long game. The most powerful workflows you could do with the voice of your customer, 3 very powerful workflows. 1, Facebook. Lots of stuff you can do on Facebook. Post, tag, share, boost, promote. 2, Google local for places for business. Now, I only have so many customers. I can't, trust me, Google also is smart enough to know that if you're getting a review every 2 weeks, then it won't take long, and you'll start to see the results of that, right? Managing your online reputation is something you need to do over time, right? So don't get discouraged. It doesn't take 2 seconds to do the work. So put the time in, know the value, get them on Facebook, and get your folks to write reviews on Google Reviews. And 3, you need a single voice of truth. You need to find a way to get these testimonials on your website, right? Google crawls your website. And if they crawl your website every day for 6 months and it never changes, then Google will not promote your website as much as they will a site with lots of great new content, right? Find a way, and this user-generated content is awesome, right? It has a location, it has a date and a time, it's got unique words from a unique person that Google likely knows. I mean, it's got all the right ingredients to be exactly what they're looking for. And those are the 3 most powerful workflows. Then we want to make sure you're thinking about your unhappy customers, and you're managing your unhappy customers and giving them a voice. It's just good business. Put your happiest customers on the rooftop screaming out your name. For your unhappy customers, make it right before they do damage to your business online. And that's the whole idea of reputation management. Now, if you're a company, you got to think about managing the hierarchy, right? You've got to think about top-down controls, about social media monitor, about your regulatory environment and your disclosures and the FFIEC guidance. There's a lot of other things you have to talk about that we've considered, and that we've helped companies in some pretty awesome ways. I'll actually log into a company user here in a second and show you. So it depends on what your perspective is, but it can be. Go ahead.
On the call that is a marketing manager for a company with let's say 25 or more brokers or loan officers. I'm just curious. If you can just chat in, let us know.
So here is Dee Diolis. She's a real estate agent using the tool. She's been with us for about a year. She's had 149 surveys sent. Now, she hasn't closed 149 transactions, but any week we have a review, she'll send an old customer a survey, right? Out of those 149, 65% of her people clicked and 60% completed the survey, right? That's almost impossible, but it's what we're seeing, right? Those 89 reviews we have shared online automatically 809 times. So that's the power of a tool like Social Survey for automation, right? We also have a partnership with Zillow, so when she gets a review on Zillow, we see it and we share that one as well. And then you have trend data and all the people that haven't yet taken a survey, so you could resend them their survey request. And then you have all that solid gold user-generated content. So I don't want to go too long. I really feel like the bullet points when you're talking to an individual user, what they're really concerned about is how does it help me, right? What can I do? Okay, so what you can do is get the voice of your customer, share it, boost it, tag, promote on Facebook, get them to do a second thing like doing a Google post, and get that content on your website as it comes in. I also feel like if you need to manage those unhappies and give those folks a voice and let them know they've been heard. So, Chris, I think that's a good overview for managing from an individual perspective. I would like to show just some power that we did for I'll just show one of our companies. We've got lots of companies on the tool. Is there anything else, Chris, that as you think about it, that you would really love for us to cover with this crew, with this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, one of the things that I love about this software is that, and, forgive me, I know it's not just software, but the thing that really stood out to me as we went through the process was the fact that it automated it. So one of the huge pain points that we have with our clients that are ranking on Google is the workflow behind getting ratings, reviews, and testimonials from their customers. And we help them out by helping them to manage that process and doing a lot of the heavy lifting for them. But what this tool does is it makes it so that the survey goes out automatically. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about it, because you know that it's going to happen for every transaction that you do. And you can manually trigger them or set them to go up automatically. But having that, it's almost like a staff member that's sitting there helping you send those surveys out so that you can really focus on the reputation management and going out and networking and sharing that positivity that goes out there. But one of the big questions that we did have, and this actually comes in from Diane, who typed this into the GoToWebinar control panel, and anybody that has any questions, feel free to just type them into that chat panel there. Wondering about the specific integration. Does this work in Canada?
Yeah. Okay. So let me. I'm going to answer that question right now, but I do want you to know that my goal for this was not just to peddle my wares, right? It wasn't just to sell Social Survey. What I really wanted to do was say, here's what we've learned, and here's what works and is making money for folks, whether they're using our software or not. So that I wanted to start there. But
short answer, we do have customers in Canada. We also have customers in Australia. And I feel like there's one other country other than Canada and Australia that I'm forgetting about. But now you go ahead and finish, Scott.
New Zealand.
Thank you. There we go.
All right. So let's focus on Social Surveys for just a minute. All right. So our software does what I just explained and more, right? So what we do is we will connect to your data, especially if you're a larger company. We can connect to .loop or an FTP or Lone Wolf, and those are in Canada. We can connect to an API. We can connect and automate the whole process for bigger companies, right? And when you close a transaction, we see it. We send a survey. If your customers are happy, we programmatically separate happy from unhappy, and we automatically share on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn for the user, for that location, for the company, and then we also give you a feed, so it automatically goes on your website without you doing anything, and then we give you Social Survey profile pages, right? And then we will automatically ask your customers to write reviews for all your local offices. So you're right. We do. We have the power of the hierarchy built in, and of all the leverage tools that we built. So if you think about it, when we started, here's American Financial Network. When we started with AFN, they had 300 reviews online. And they've been in business for 15 years. They have like 500 loan officers, and that's for all their loan officers on Zillow and Google and everywhere we could find them, right? We aggregate them and said, okay, they have a total of 300 reviews. Now, they've been with us for a year, and they have closed 11,000 transactions. And we've gotten, with their Zillows, they have 5,250 new reviews in 1 year. That's from 300 over 15 years for 5,200 this year. We've shared those 28,000 times online, reaching nearly 3 million people, right? Social proof. The voice of the customer is everywhere. And by the way, they have a net promoter in the low 90s, right? They are a customer service company now because because here's what we know. If you measure it, it will improve. If you amplify the voice of the happiest customers, it'll improve faster. That's an ego play. Nothing more powerful than ego. Cash is not even as powerful as ego, right? And we escalate problems to their management, which means their boss's boss is going to hear about every negative, and the negatives basically go away. Changes the conversation with the customer. So social survey will do what we've talked about today and more for individuals and for the enterprise. So yes, it does work in Canada. It works wonderfully in Canada, and we do have some customers there.
Excellent. And another question that we've had a number of people ask is whether or not people need a Gmail account in order to leave a Google review. So obviously, you guys can field that, or I can field it for you. However you'd like.
Yes, they do. Absolutely, they need it, and that's some of the power I actually think of Google. So if you look at this example that Craig was talking about, and you click on these reviews, let's sort them by most recent. So this week. These are all reviews from this week. And there's Lucy, and they've got Lucy's photo. Google knows Lucy. She's a customer of Google. They're going to give that authority. They're going to give that more power than they give Yelp reviews, because it's their customer. They know it's real. They know where this customer lives, right? They know where that customer transacts. They even have photos on that customer. Lucy didn't upload that photo. So yes, but most already do. We're finding that if we ask 5 advocates, and if you ask them, it'll be even more powerful. But if we ask 5 of your advocates to do a second thing for you, we get 1 to do it. So that means if you have 100 and we get 50 of your people to take a survey, that'll give you 10 online Google reviews.
Well, Scott, you should clarify that. If we ask them to review you on Google, then 5 do it. When we've given the same instructions to people for Yelp, it's much lower. And the reason it's lower is fewer people have Yelp accounts than have Google accounts. Even if they have a Yelp account, they probably use it on their mobile device, not on their computer, so they don't necessarily know their username and their password. And if you need to get one, you do need to do a sign-up process where you're now sharing your information. So what happens with Yelp is that, and we don't have the stats, but let's say hypothetically, 100 people are asked to review you on Yelp. 30 of them click on it to do it, and only 2 or 3 are successful because of the drop-off in number of people who have accounts or know their logins or are willing to do it. And so maybe 2 to 3% per 2 to 3% will get you a Yelp review versus 20% on Google. And we're not saying that one is more important than another, because we certainly have had customers who have said to us, in my marketplace, everybody uses Yelp for everything. And I need to be dominant on Yelp, and I need to get reviews on Yelp. In which case, what we say to them is focus on Yelp, but you're probably going to have to work a little harder. Go ahead.
Okay, so no, I was going to echo Craig's comments. So here's an example on Yelp. Residential Home Funding has 7 reviews with 3.5 stars. That's way better than when we started with them a year ago.
Actually, Scott, I hate to disagree with you. It's only slightly better. What's way better? Let me tell you, because I just pulled up the stats today because I was talking with the president of the company. When they started, and it wasn't a year ago, it was in January, we'd started a workflow for them. They had 6 reviews, a 3.18 average, and they had 34 reviews that were not recommended. And again, if you don't know Yelp, what they mean by not recommended is they have an algorithm, they've determined that that review isn't relevant, maybe it's fake, and so they suppress it. And when they suppress it, they don't include the score in their total. They still show it, but you have to work hard. Scott, show them what you have to do to get to those 34.
Yeah, no, so let me go back.
And then 3 months later, so here's what happened. So 3 months later, when we stopped putting people towards Yelp for them, they had gone to 7 reviews, I think it's a 3.75 average, so they're only slightly better on the average, but they've got 34 more reviews. So in 3 months, we were able to drive 34 customers to Yelp to give them reviews, but because they were first-time Yelpers or because they aren't frequent Yelpers, those reviews got suppressed in the not recommended. So there's where Scott's showing you 78. We doubled the number of not recommended reviews, but we only increased their featured reviews by 1.
And this just keeps us up at night, guys. Look at this. They only have a 3.7 on the site, but if you look in the 78 that they've muted, that Yelp has muted, they have 1 1-star, 1 3-star, 2 4-stars, and 74 5-star reviews that Yelp has muted.
And some of those people, by the way, have 6, 10, 15 Yelp reviews, and for some reason Yelp is still saying that in their mind it's not relevant. And the funny thing is we matched those up. They're all customers because we sent surveys to those customers through our system. Those companies are on Encompass, and so we know that they closed a loan, right? This is not the brother and their mother and their sister. This is the customers. But anyway, we're sort of getting off the point.
Yeah, so the good news is Google doesn't mute reviews if they know who the customer is. They post them. So if they know who the person is and they know who most folks are, and second to that, way more powerful workflow anyway, right? Yelp gets its traffic from Google. Focus on Google. If you get some Yelpers, get them to write Yelp reviews. That's awesome. More is more.
Now, one thing you can do, if you're on Yelp, you can become friends with people. If you see these profiles, you can see that they have friends. So when you're doing a loan for somebody, or if you're a real estate agent and you're working with somebody, if you're on Yelp, try to find them on Yelp and connect to them on Yelp. That way you'll know that they're a Yelper. Then if you're surveying them, remember that they're a Yelper. So at the end of the transaction, you would say, hey, I noticed you're on Yelp. Would you review me on Yelp? Because a few customers find me there every year. So that's one way to.
I feel like this could feel overwhelming, guys. And there's 2 things that we want to take away. You can do it on social survey and we'll automate the whole thing, right? Or 2, if you're going to go it alone, get the content, get it on Google, get it on Facebook, get it on your website.
That's it. And and just to add to that, and we've also had a comment here, a very insightful comment from Marie, and one other fantastic comment echoed this, that it's not entirely negative to have a negative review. It shows that you're a real business. Some people would look at it and say, oh, hey, they've got 100 5-star ratings and reviews. That seems a little bit
Can't
weird.
trust it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we don't, it's my opinion that you want to get as many 5-star reviews as possible and keep them as such. But if there happens to be, 1 or 2 that kind of gets through the filter because you're on the front page of Google, you're getting all of that exposure, you're much better off to have your best foot forward. It's almost like an insurance policy on your business. What you want is to have this overwhelming positivity so that you are the obvious first choice when people sit down in front of Google. Because when somebody Googles, let's say, mortgage broker in area name, or whatever your business happens to be in area name, they have purchase intent. They want to buy what you have to offer. And when you're looking at online marketing, the greatest tool that that person has available to them to determine whether you are the best option for them over and above any of your competitors is social proof from real people online. So whether it's they're all 5 stars or they're 5 stars and they're 4 stars, it's the fact that you have an audience talking about your business positively, because that's what's pre-selling those new customers that are searching for what it is that you have to offer. So guys, because we are coming up on the hour, I know that you were here and, we discussed this somewhat at length before the event, that it wasn't a pitch fest and that you came with great content. You guys delivered. I really appreciate you coming. But do you have, we've mentioned social survey. Is there a way where people can get in touch with you? Is there an offer that you have that you can give people for being here on the event today?
Yeah, that's it, Craig. I'm going to leave that to you so you can drive people. And again, we just, before we do that, thank you for having us on. It's always great when we connect to leaders in the industry, and we're excited to really start to expand our network with through your partnerships here.
So Scott, why don't you pull up our homepage? So it's pretty simple, folks. If you're an individual user, you can just go to socialsurvey.com. And then you'll see in the corner, I think it's the upper right corner, you'll see free trial. It's a 30-day free trial for individual users or for small organizations. Under 5 users or 5 or fewer users, you'll get 30 days free. If you're a larger organization, then just use the Contact Us button, and then we'll reach out to you. Please, after you've signed up, you don't have to mention Chris. We'll have a pretty good idea whether you came from Chris or not, but certainly we would love to hear that you learned about us from this webinar today. And if you're a customer of Chris's, because I know some of the people on the call are customers and some of the people are just followers, people who enjoy his content. If you're a customer of his, please let us know so that we can make sure that everything that we're doing for you is synced up with what Chris is doing for you, and so that we maximize the value of it. And then you can see on the screen the prices. It's $39.95 for individual users, $29.95 for the businesses, and then enterprise pricing can drop drastically depending on the size of your organization.
And if you just want to reach out to us, I'm Scott at socialsurvey.com, and Craig is Craig at socialsurvey.com. So pretty easy.
Yep. Or you can use Get Started at socialsurvey.com, and that works just as well.
Awesome. And just a couple of things to note there. For any of our existing clients that are on the call that would be interested in Social Survey, that's my gift to you. So just reach out, let us know. I'm paying for that on your behalf. So any of our clients that are here on the program that would like to get started with Social Survey, just connect with me directly. I'll pay for that on your behalf. I'm happy to do that because I've just gone through the process, had it work for me, and I want the absolute best for you. The other thing for those of us on the call here today, you should note that that is US-based pricing. So catching your exchange rate somewhere around the range of 30%, you want to make sure that you add that to that total, because we are transacting for a lot of us here in Canadian dollars. So I just wanted to give you the heads up on that so that you didn't get to the pricing page and potentially have that as a surprise, because if you know me, we're not about surprises. We're about making sure that we provide you with valuable resources and quality content to help you grow your business. And with that, we are right on an hour. Scott, Craig, guys, thank you so much for the delivery today and for the quality content and for, a fantastic program. We had an excellent experience with you, and I'm happy to share it. And to all of you that have spent an hour here learning how to work on your business, not necessarily working in your business, I truly value and appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming. If you have any questions or you need support with anything, you can reach out to support at support@cwjstone.com. We're always there to answer your questions and give you the support that you need. Any parting words that you guys would like to have before we shut things down?
No, awesome. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody on the call and some of the great insights, the questions that people ask.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Craig. And have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.